Channel 13 News at 11 starts now.
Justice for longtime local investigative journalist Jeff Gehrman.
He talked about the fact that he was never going to retire, that he was going to continue to work as a reporter until he took his last breath.
It's been a little more than a year since he was found brutally stabbed to death outside of his home.
This is a terrible and jarring homicide, one that has deeply impacted Las Vegas.
Tonight, we take a look back at the case and how friends and coworkers remember a man who fought for what's right in our community. A man who dedicated his life to truth and justice for Southern Nevada residents.
Jeff's journalism was really driven fundamentally by a sense of right and wrong.
I think Jeff should be remembered as one of the more significant journalists in Las Vegas history.
Jeff Gehrman devoted his life to delivering breaking news and investigating corruption in our city. He worked at the Las Vegas Sun for more than 30 years and would go on to work for the Las Vegas Review-Journal for nearly a decade. I sat down with Glenn Cook, the executive editor and senior vice president of news at the Review-Journal. He says beyond being a trusted journalist, Gehrman cared deeply for people.
Jeff himself, wasn't married and he didn't have children, but he was there for the people he cared about. He was the favorite uncle, is a good way to describe him.
Cook says Gehrman was not only competitive as a reporter, but also when it came to sports.
A very serious and competitive fantasy football player who took great pride in the fact that he won the Review-Journal Fantasy Football League Championship 3 times.
Jeff Schumacher, who is the VP of exhibits at the Mob Museum, worked with Gehrman at the Sun for nearly a decade.
The work that he did at the Las Vegas Sun and the work that he did at the Las Vegas Review-Journal helped people in Las Vegas to understand their city better, to understand the corruption that he exposed.
Schumacher says Gehrman showed people how our government worked and how it didn't. He also reported on organized crime in Las Vegas. His reporting was highlighted in the RJ's podcast series, Mobbed Up.
I'm Jeff Gehrman, an investigative reporter with the Las Vegas Review-Journal. I'm your guide for season 2 of Mobbed Up, The Fight for Las Vegas.
In the second season of the podcast, Gehrman and Schumacher teamed up once again to talk about the mob's involvement at the Aladdin Hotel in the 1980s.
Jeff and I were kind of put back together after all those years, got the gang back together, if you will. And he and I worked very well together as if nothing had changed.
Because of his investigative work and trusted reporting, he was someone the community could turn to. That included several Clark County employees in early 2022 who asked him to investigate former Clark County Public Administrator Robert Tellis.
So we decided that we would go public. We would try to talk to a journalist here in our community and see if somebody felt it was worthy of reporting.
Current Clark County Public Administrator Rita Reed asked Gehrman to look into allegations of a toxic work environment by Tellis in his office. At the time, Rita Reed was Assistant Public Administrator under Tellis and was running against him for the position. Gehrman's first article, with interviews and information from insiders, was published in March 2022. With each subsequent article, Reed says Tellis became more combative, causing increased anxiety among the staff. In June of 2022, Tellis conceded the primary to Reed.
I guess maybe I felt there might be an encounter one day or an altercation, a verbal altercation, but I could never have imagined this.
And a Las Vegas Review-Journal investigative reporter found dead yesterday morning. Jeff Gehrman was found stabbed to death on the side of his home in the Northwest Valley.
Metro Police say a neighbor found Gehrman dead outside of his home near Tenaya Way and Vegas Drive. Cook says former sheriff and current governor Joe Lombardo called him to break the news to him.
I had no idea why he would be calling about Jeff, and I said, is it about a story he's working on? And the sheriff says Jeff's dead.
Police immediately activated their major case protocol unit to accelerate the progress of the investigation. Investigators began chasing down leads on the suspected killer. the tragic killing leaving a tremendous impact on the Las Vegas community.
His death was absolutely devastating to myself and my coworkers, the people that he advocated for. He was our hero. I mean, we can never thank him enough.
When I learned that Jeff had died and had been killed, I was like everybody else. I was absolutely in disbelief that something like this could actually happen.
Through their investigation, police identified former public administrator Robert Tellis as a suspect in this murder case. Just 5 days after Garman was killed, Tellis would be arrested for open murder.
Every murder is tragic, but the killing of a journalist is particularly troublesome.
Tellis has argued that he's innocent and that he was set up in this murder case. However, after his arrest, the judge ruled that Tellis would be held without bail. As preparations for a pretrial hearing in October continue and the trial scheduled to begin in November, Garman's legacy lives on.
We added a new award into our annual awards, and we call it the Jeff Garman Bulldog Scholarship.
RJ staff reporters are recognized for their work that reflects Jeff's spirit. Those 4 reporters will be awarded full scholarships to attend the Investigative Reporter and Editors Conference in Anaheim next June. Garman has also received other posthumous honors, including the Dan Balls Medal from the Investigative Reporters and Editors for Journalism Courage, and the President's Award from the National Press Club in Washington, D.C.
We were very humbled and honored to accept that award on his behalf.
For many locals, Garman's impact goes beyond the headlines and front-page stories.
Jeff was absolutely committed to rooting out corruption in Las Vegas. He was absolutely committed to the truth coming out.
It was about right and wrong. It was about making sure that people who were doing harm in the community were held accountable.
And the pretrial conference hearing for Robert Tellis is set for October 24th. And according to court records, at this time, the trial is set to start on November 6th.